Now, we told you that the Nigeria Police Force has explained the reasons behind the transfer of human rights activist and former presidential candidate Omoyele Sowore to Kuje Prison shortly after it was granted bail by the Kuje Magistrate Court in Abuja on Friday. Sowore was initially arrested by the police on Thursday on charges bordering on incitement and alleged breach of public peace. His arrest followed his organization of the Free Nnamdi Kanu Now protest on Monday. He was subsequently arraigned alongside 12 others before the Kuje Magistrate Court on Friday. The court granted bail to Sowore with 500,000 naira and 2 sureties, which his legal team was working to perfect at the time of the police action. However, while responding to Sowore's rearrest, the force public relations officer Benjamin Hundeyin said the police acted within the law. He emphasized that suspects granted bail by a court must remain in custody until all bail conditions are fulfilled. At this point, counsel to Omoyele Sowore, Tope Tomekun, joins us now to discuss this. Thank you so much, Tope, for joining us on the news. Can you please unmute? Okay. All right, so I'll need you to sit in a relaxed position while I just go ahead with the question. So we need to confirm, has Sowore's bail conditions been perfected? Because that is the only reason the Nigerian police gave as excuse for still holding him in custody.
No, the police authorities, they don't understand what they are saying. And after I visited Omoyele Sowore in Kuje Prison today, when I came back, I made a release. And that release was just to explain to the public, to rescue the public from the misinformation from the statement of CSP David Udein, the police PRO, who said that they didn't rearrest Sowore, that they only took him away from court to hand him over to the prison authorities, that is correctional service. That was not correct. A suspect under investigation will be remanded through court order if investigation is not completed. That is if investigation continues and there is apprehension that the investigation might not be completed within 24 hours. You can apply, the police authorities can apply to the court, whether section 293 or the Administration of Criminal Justice Act, to remand him for a specific number of days, pending the time investigation will be completed. But in this case, an arraignment has been made. The implication, the legal implication of an arraignment is that investigation has completed. The police authorities have submitted the suspect to the jurisdiction of the court. And it was at that point that the magistrate considered the bail application of the defendants and he granted them bail. And the bail condition was very simple. He requested for 2 sureties and 500,000 in the like sum to have means of identification and to have evidence of tax clearance maybe for 3 years or so. Within 10 minutes, we have a number of persons there, a number of sympathizers who have met this condition, and the documentation started immediately. Within 15 minutes to 30 minutes, the documentation was complete, and the sureties were waiting for the magistrate to consider the bail documentation submitted for signing. It was at that point that the IPO of the matter, who obviously was not ready to leave court premises, the IPO of the matter, CSP Liasu, who was in Mufti, leading all other officers armed in uniform, they came to where Omoyele Sowore was sitting with the lawyers and sympathizers, and they told him to stand up. He asked them why. CSP Liasu said he had a remand order. He didn't understand what he was talking about, whether he wanted to say remand warrant or remand order. He brought out a paper. Omoyele Sowore requested to see the remand order or remand warrant or whatever he was holding. He said no, you don't need to see it. I said okay, let me see it as his lawyer here. Let me see what is in that remand order or remand warrant. Obviously, if a remand order is given by a magistrate, we need to actually know whether the police have made an application for another remand, whether it is in portions or the fact that there is a bail application that was considered, that was granted, and that the defendant has not been able to perfect his bail condition. And if there is that remand warrant, it will be specified where the defendant is being taken, and all that, the details of whatever order that is given will be in that paper. He refused to show us the details of that paper.
All right, Tope, permit me to quickly ask this for clarification. According to sections 158 to 165, if you can hear me, of the Administration of Criminal Justice Act 2015 that you cited a while ago, once a court grants bail, the accused is not automatically released until all bail conditions are perfected. So I stand to be corrected on that. So based on this provision of that act, has the police violated any rule?
Sorry, host, you didn't actually allow me to complete what I was saying.
Yes, so we are actually pressed for time, so we need to pick the questions and get your responses within scheduled time.
The police didn't comply with any law. That is the point I'm making. Administration of Criminal Justice Act is not what is applicable here. If a defendant has been arraigned and is granted, at that point, the issue of custody is under Nigerian Correctional Service Act 2019. The only custody agent is the prison authorities. It's Nigerian Correctional Service. The police at that point, the IPO, has nothing to do except when it's invited to come and give evidence. So the fact that they waited from the inception of that matter till bail application was considered and granted, till the perfection process was on, is an indication that they had a sinister plan. It was that plan they eventually carried out.
So does it mean now, Tope, that
so
up to date, Tope, if you can hear me, I'd like to confirm, does it mean that up to date, Sowore's counsel, which includes you, have still not seen the remand order from the police?
There is no order, there is no remand warrant. I have challenged police authority today. If there is a remand warrant or remand order, they should publish it to the public. At this point, we don't want to cast aspersion. There is no need to look at in the direction of the judiciary. It's a struggle between power and law. The powers that the police have, they want it to override the position of the law. If they have a remand order or remand warrant, I challenge the police authorities to publish it.
Okay, so Tope, I would like you to probably check CSP Benjamin Hunden's X platform, all right, to see probably he did attach that particular order to his posts while responding to Sowore's arrest, where he said that the personnel acted within the law. But then when you look at the scenario, it said that, the personnel acted within the law to use commensurate force within necessary. So does that explanation validate what the Nigerian police did when they took Sowore away? For you now.
Is pure hooliganism. We must understand that we should not confuse this matter, sir. We should not confuse this matter. What I am saying is that somebody has been arraigned in court. After the arraignment was granted bail, all these things happened around 11 a.m. when the magistrate was still sitting. A magistrate had to convince himself that the defendant could not meet his bail condition. It will be at that point that he could send a remand warrant that will be presented to prison authorities. That is fundamental. It happened around 11 a.m. when the magistrate who granted the order was still sitting. So on what basis is the police intervention? The police have no role to play. After arraignment, after bail has been granted, it is the magistrate that they have not been able to meet their bail conditions, and probably to be at the close of the day, and he wants to leave office. They carry out the act around 11 a.m. It was an attack.
Okay.
That was premeditated.
Okay, so let's wrap things up now, Tope. Now, is he currently in Kuje Prison or correctional facility or police custody? And when do you think that the bail conditions will finally be met so that he can be free?
I visited him today in Kuje Prison.
Okay.
In fact, yesterday around evening when we left court, we waited till like 4. After the act of brigandage, we left. People were not safe. People didn't feel safe there. But we had no option. That is the business we choose. We had to wait, thinking that whether the magistrate returns, he might still sign the bail perfection document. So that we will now begin to ask questions, where did they keep him? But when the information came that they later took him to Kuje Prison, we went straight to Kuje Prison. And at the entrance, while we were filling the visitation form, they told us that our client is not here. That's what they said categorically. They said he was not here. So it was why we argued whether he was here or was not here. That somebody now said that no, those people, the police officers, that they later came back. So that was why we now found out that when they brought Sowore, their documentation was not proper, whether it was not complete or there was no documentation. It was rejected by the prison authorities.
Oh, okay.
So it was on second presentation that he was now taking it. And I am very sure whatever police is doing after that act of brigandage was an afterthought. After they must have damaged the reputation of Nigerian police force, they were just after damage control. And even the fact that they took him to correctional prison must have been an afterthought. If it was an issue of taking to custody, the attack, the assault on both Sowore and the lawyers would not have taken place.
All right,
what is so special about taking somebody to custody if you cannot perfect bail?
All right, thank you so much, Tope Tomekun. Yeah, so we understand the gravity of the situation on the ground, but then thank you so much for sharing the details with us for clarity on the news. Let's go on a break, and when we return, Governors Forum celebrates Nigeria's removal from Financial Action Task Force grey list. We'll tell you more in a short while. Do stay with us.